In this section, we are going to go over logging in and entering evaluations into Taskstream, which is the program that PSU uses for academic and co-curricular assessment. And so if you wanted to follow along on the slideshow that is listed on this module, you will start at slide 5. So you can certainly proceed there and that will give you the login. But I want to go through ways to find the login to Taskstream if you're unable to find that. So we're going to start on your Microsoft home screen, whatever or however you access your Microsoft applications, and we're going to get to SharePoint. So we're going to use these options. We're going to go to SharePoint. You're going to search along the top for Office of Institutional Effectiveness, PSU. So once you get to this homepage, you're going to look at the drop down for University Assessment Process, and you're going to choose Academic Program Assessment. Okay, so this is a landing page for all things for the annual assessment process. We're not going to go into detail right now, but what we really want to do is go down towards the middle of the page and look at this additional resources section, and we're going to go to the Taskstream login. And that's going to bring you directly into Taskstream. There are some other options that we can go through in another section where you can add a link into your Canvas courses as well. So you don't have to do this separate login, but for now, we'll just log in from here. If you've logged in before, great, and you know your password, that's wonderful. You just enter the information here and choose sign in. If you've forgotten your password, you can put in your email address here. So it's going to be, for example, tc1234@plymouth.edu. If you are one of the users that has a username and a full email address, you want to use the username link to it. For example, tc1234@plymouth.edu. So I'm going to log in with my UNH email address here because that's what I'm using for this session. So I'll put in my email address, put in my password, and click sign in. Now, if you get to this screen where maybe you have opened Taskstream in another window, this is just telling you that you can only have one window open for Taskstream. So I must have it open in another window or another screen. So I'm just going to continue login and terminate the other session. All right, so once you're here, you should see the programs that you are listed as an evaluator for. So you may see multiple years, you may see multiple programs, depending on which courses you are connected to for the assessment process. So for right now, I'm going to look for what I want to use for an evaluation. So this session is going to be the AY23 training program. So you're going to click there. You're going to see this drop down. You may see courses, you may see students. So I generally just select all groups, and so I can see anything that I have access to. That just makes it easier so you don't have to go between multiple screens. So we're just going to do that and hit search. And again, here it's going to ask if you want to select a group, which typically is going to be your courses. I generally do show all available categories and just navigate on the next screen to what I want to access. So we're just going to scroll down here, leaving all those options as they set to default, and then click continue. And so this is your evaluation screen where you're going to see on the left here your students that are enrolled in the courses that are listed to be evaluated. So each one of these, we'll just call them columns, is a course and then the key assessment. So if you have multiple key assessments in the same course, they still would require separate rubrics. So you'll see one column for each rubric and then essentially one row for each student that needs to be evaluated. So some of these options too, you'll see a student's name, but then it will say no access on one of the columns. That just means that that student maybe isn't enrolled in that particular course that you're clicking. So over here too, you can decide if you want to filter your view by one specific course, and you can do that here. So if you wanted to just do one course at a time, you could certainly do that. So now, so this is an example of an evaluation that's already been entered. So that shows you that little check mark there shows you that you've already entered your evaluation. So I'm going to go down to this button here that says evaluate and click on that. So once you get to this screen, there's not much to see here, but if you did want to look at the rubric before you started the evaluations, you can go down to this evaluation method here, and then you can view your rubric here. This one here shows the learning outcomes and then the value, which when we get to the actual scoring, you'll see the categorical values for those numbers too. So this isn't where you enter evaluations, but if you wanted to see, so you know what to expect, this is where you would view the rubric before you start entering those evaluations. So we'll close out of here. Also keep in mind, this is a pop-up and the scoring will also be a pop-up. So if you have a pop-up blocker enabled for this window or this browser, you want to make sure you disable it or allow pop-ups for this screen or this website. Sorry, we'll close out of there and we'll go to score work. Again, it's another pop-up. And so right along the top here, you'll see the numeric values as well as the categorical values. So this is where you're going to score this one student for each of the learning outcomes, and then whatever score you'd like to do. So you can do two options. You can click on it, or you can use this drop down. Either one does the same evaluation. If you're not going to be scoring that student for this particular learning outcome, you can click the NA here, and that will exclude that score from the total. But you do need to score all of the evaluations to be able to submit the final evaluation. So if you aren't going to be scoring that student, you have to do NA. So we'll just go through and enter our scores until we see that all of them are entered, and then we're ready to submit the evaluation. So on the bottom two, any of these comment fields, that would be your own personal preference if you wanted to enter comments. Nobody's going to see them but yourself, so I don't really recommend spending the time to do that, but if you feel like you're going to come back and look at these comments, then certainly do so if you'd like to. Same with attachments. That is not part of the overall assessment process, so if you'd like to enter them for your organizational purposes, you may do so. But when you're ready, and you'll see your rubric average here, you hit submit evaluation now. And so then you are done. And if you have any additional students, you would see them and then you would just go through the list and enter all those different evaluations. If you wanted to go back to the other course, you can use this here. So you can filter to the other course, use the drop down and click go. And then you'll see any other evaluations that need to be entered, all the same process. And when you're complete with that and you want to go back to the home screen, you can just click here on this home button and it'll bring you back to your original screen.